What is going on, everyone? DSP here, and welcome to Release Day Unboxing for May 4th, 2011. And you may be saying, gee Phil, usually Release Day Unboxing you do on a Tuesday. Why did you wait till Wednesday this week? Well, the very simple answer to that is the major release this week, the biggest thing that happened this week, wasn't a retail release. It was actually the Call of Duty Black Ops DLC Escalation, which had 4 new multiplayer maps and then also 1 new zombie map, which is an amazing zombie map in my opinion. I played it yesterday. It stars 4 real-life actors, including Robert Englund, Danny Trejo, Sarah Michelle Gellar. It's got George Romero in there as a boss. It's really cool, and I had a lot of fun playing it yesterday. If you haven't seen the footage, I played both the online play of the 4 new maps, and then also I played the new zombie map. It's called Call of the Dead for several hours, and all that footage is on DSPGaming. Check it out right now if you haven't. But in the meantime, there were also these 2 retail releases, but I knew I was going to be busy all day playing the Black Ops expansion. I said, well, I'm not going to rush out to the store to get the retail games. In that case, I'll just get them tomorrow when I'm going to start playing them. So it is now tomorrow, which is May 4th, and we have 2 retail releases this week worth mentioning. And unfortunately, the first one, and I say unfortunately, and you're going to know why in a second, is Motorstorm Apocalypse. Now, I feel really, really bad for the company that made this game. And I rarely feel bad for a company like that, but I'm trying to figure out who actually made the game. I just see PlayStation. I don't see the name of any development company on here. Maybe it's a first-party game. I'm not sure. I don't see anything on there for it. It just says Sony Studios. But here's the deal with Motorstorm Apocalypse. This game was done and ready to be sold in April. It was done. Like this case, this game that you'll see inside, were made and were ready for sale in April. And what ended up happening was, if you remember back in March, there was a large-scale catastrophe in Japan. There was an earthquake followed by a ridiculously large tsunami. Hundreds of thousands of people unfortunately lost their lives, and Japan's basically said, listen, we're not going to release this game right now for many different reasons. Maybe they weren't equipped to release it at that time because of the disaster. Maybe because the game is about a giant freaking earthquake that you're driving through. I mean, there's multiple reasons. So Japan said they weren't going to release it because of that. Europe kind of jumped on the bandwagon and said, well, if they're not going to release it, there's no reason for us to release it and get it ahead of them. So they delayed the release, and then America followed suit. So this game could have been released in April. And the reason that I think it's a shame now, what's going on, is, as you know, if you've been following along, if you've been in a cave, I guess I should give you a quick summary. PlayStation Network was hacked last month in April, and for now, about 2 weeks now, I'd say, it's been down completely. No one can get onto it, and all this information has come out that everyone's personal information was stolen by this hacker and made available, and everyone's afraid that these people are going to use their personal information to steal their identity and things like that. And it's a shame because this game, this kind of game, a racing game, really lends itself to multiplayer. In fact, when you look on the back, sure, it has a single-player mode, but the main feature here is that network of 2 to 16-player multiplayer on PlayStation Network, and it even says, broadband required, obviously, to play online. But tear it up in 16-player online races and customize your cars and all that. That's why people buy games like this. Okay, people don't buy Motorstorm Apocalypse to sit at home and play it single player. This game is made for multiplayer, and right now, no one can play this game online. And I kind of asked, I was curious at my GameStop when I walked in. I said, did anyone buy this game? And everyone said, nope, you know what, a lot of people reserved it and they canceled their reserves, or they never picked up the game. Because PlayStation Network's down, they can't play it online, they just don't want the game anymore. Especially because right now, despite all these rumors that people keep hearing, no, I'm telling you right now, there is no set date when PSN will be up. Even Sony has not set a set date. They say, oh, maybe we'll have it done sometime in May, maybe by the end of May, but people keep believing these weird rumors that it's going to be up on like the next day or something. Don't believe the rumors. Unless there's an official word from Sony, it's not going back up, okay? So I feel bad because if they had released this game last month before all this PSN nonsense, this game could have probably been a gigantic seller. And I can see that because the Motorstorm series has been very popular. This seems like an interesting premise, adding a natural disaster to it and, having to drive around all kinds of environmental hazards. It seems like a fun concept, and that's why I got the game. That's why I'm interested in it. but I feel real bad. I really do. I feel like this game's not going to sell very well, and just from an indication from my local GameStop, that seems to be the case. So, it's a shame, but who knows? What can you do? You know, things happen, and you know, blame Sony for letting their PSN get hacked. I don't know what else to say. I've already beaten the dead horse, dug it out of the ground, beat it up some more. So there's no reason for me to talk about the PSN fiasco again. But basically, yeah, this game looks good, but we're gonna play the single player at some point. I don't know when we'll ever get to play the multiplayer, because who knows? If PSN doesn't come up for another couple weeks, I'm probably going to be playing new games. I'm not going to want to play this online. Same thing goes for SOCOM 4. If PSN's not up relatively soon, I'm never going to play that game again. And so all I'm ever going to play is the campaign. The game's never going to sell. No one's going to buy SOCOM 4. So I feel bad for this game, and I feel bad for SOCOM 4, two outstanding games, or at least games that have potential to be outstanding in my opinion. I don't know, because no one can play them online. So that sucks. But anyway, I digress. Let's see what's actually in here. So like I said, it says you can have up to 16-player multiplayer, survival of the fastest. If you actually buy the game, you get a code for 2 exclusive vehicles. Problem with that, here's the code, which is, you know, I can show you because it's blocked off. Problem with that, you need to be able to use PSN in order to use the code. So everyone gets this today, they get their code. Guess what? You do not get the vehicles, you do not get the skins, you do not get the parts until they finally fix PSN. Who knows when that'll be, and again, by then you might not even want to play this game anymore. So whoop-de-doo that you're giving me exclusive content. I don't think anyone's going to give a shit. But here's your code. You know, this is what you're supposed to get with the code. You get a bike, and you get a car with some pretty cool skins. Sorry if that's not focused. And then there's also some parts you're supposed to be able to add to other vehicles in the game. The instruction manual, pretty typical, black and white. Explains some thousands flee the worst ever earthquake. Gee, I wonder why this game got delayed after the crisis in Japan. So here's, you know, the instructions. It shows you, and here's all the different vehicles in the game. It looks like there's many vehicles, which is good, and explains everything in Ad for Little Big Planet 2. And Infamous 2, available 6/7/2011, which is great. That's one of the most important days of the year, because that's the day traditionally at E3 when all of the gaming companies have their press conference. So while I'm playing Infamous 2, I'm also going to have to keep my ears open to hear what's going on at E3. But anyway, so that's the packaging for Motorstorm Apocalypse. As you can see, pretty cool picture in the background there as well of an explosion going on during this earthquake. There's your game disc, more art behind it. Pretty neat. I like how they do that with the PlayStation 3 packaging. So, I don't know. I would say maybe I'm going to play the single player, and hopefully I wish that if people are interested in this kind of game, that you give it a chance, because it's a shame that this game might tank simply because PlayStation fucked up and let PSN get hacked. So anyway, that's Motorstorm Apocalypse. Now here we go. The other release for this week is Thor, and as you can see, it says it's playable in 3D. Whoopity fucking doopity. Good thing no one has 3D TVs and no one gives a shit. But anyway, Thor God of Thunder, made by Sega. I'm surprised that it was made by Sega. It says, call down the mighty storm's fury. Battle as Thor, commanding massive storm powers, wielding his legendary hammer Mjolnir. Thunder across the Norse worlds to save Asgard, smashing massive foes from the Thor universe. It says, earth-shaking combat, grapple colossal enemies, unleash lightning, thunder, and wind. And then, oh wow, check this out. It features the voices of Chris Hemsworth as Thor and Tom Hiddleston as Loki. Holy fucking shit, they got Tom Hiddleston? Who the fuck is Tom Hiddleston? So I'm assuming what they mean by this is that those are the actual actors from the movie. But you know what? The thing about this game and the movie, unfortunately, is that a lot of people are just kind of saying, gee, did anyone really ask for a Thor movie? Like, sure, he was popular at one point. He hasn't been as popular over the past 20 years of Marvel history, and people are like, it seems like this is a necessary movie just so that they can make an Avengers movie. Because if you didn't have the explanation of Thor's backstory, then how would you understand that he's a god and all of that? And so a lot of people are kind of groaning at this movie, like, especially it has, what's her name? Oh god, I can't think of her name now. She was in Black Swan, she was Princess Padme. I'm sorry that her name's slipping my mind, but yeah, she's the main romantic lead. Wait a minute, when did Thor have a romantic lead? What the fuck are they, like, already the source material, they're ripping it apart, so it's really stupid. A lot of people groan looking at this guy saying he looks like an asshole, you know, especially this outfit, it looks so fucking stupid. I don't know. I'm not going to see the movie. I have no interest in seeing a Thor movie. I think Thor's one of the most boring characters in the Marvel Universe, to be completely honest. I think that a cool spin on something like this is Hercules, who Hercules in the Marvel Universe ended up coming to Earth, doing a lot of superhero stuff, but then ends up becoming an alcoholic, and so his story becomes dramatically different because of that, as opposed to Thor, who's the do-gooder asshole with the fucking hammer. And it's like, the most important, I think the most interesting thing about Thor is his hammer. Not him, not his personality, not the fact he's a god, but he has this powerful-ass hammer, and throughout the history of Marvel Comics, all kinds of supervillains have tried to wield this hammer, because they know that the power that it has. So, anyway, I digressed. I'm just ripping on the Thor, because I think it's pretty stupid, the movie. Anyway, so here's your game, Thor, and, pretty bare bones, nothing special here. Wait till you see this. This is hilarious, okay? On the back, an ad for Captain America, like we didn't know that was going to happen, right? But on the front, you got Thor, you got your warnings, you got your controller layout, explains the buttons, right? That's it. And then they have the exact same thing in another language. So it's pretty funny. That's your instruction booklet. But you know what? That is the most bare bones you can have, but at least it gives you the controls. Unlike Mortal Kombat, which had absolutely nothing inside the instruction booklet whatsoever. So that's pretty much it for release day unboxing this week. Not a lot going on game-wise. You got a game here that's crippled because you can't play it online the way it's meant to be played, and you've got a movie tie-in game to a grown-able movie, and who knows how good this game could possibly be. This will be interesting to test out. So anyway, I think I'm going to actually start out with Thor and try to get through it. I'm sure, again, being a movie tie-in game, it's probably not going to be too lengthy or complicated. I could be wrong. I could be pleasantly surprised. Let's see what happens. But I'm going to start out with Thor, and then once Thor's done, I'll probably try out Motorstorm Apocalypse. Again, I apologize. Back to the Future was supposed to come out last week, episode 3 for PlayStation. On PlayStation Network. Then it was supposed to come out this week. They announced they would delay it a week, but since PlayStation Network's still up, I think the company basically said, it's Telltale Games, and they basically said, you know what, we're going to stop saying when it's coming out, because obviously we don't know when it's coming out, because Sony can't get their shit together, and we'll just release it whenever PSN goes back up. So, yeah, I'll be playing Back to the Future whenever the hell PSN goes back up, because, and by then, who knows, maybe there'll be 2 episodes at once, because a whole month will go by. It's already been 2 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if it lasts another 2 weeks, if not a month. So we'll see what happens. Alright, so that's it. I'm DSP. This has been Release Day Unboxing, and I'll see you for my playthroughs this week of Thor and Motorstorm Apocalypse.